This is Dr. Chris's Radio Horror program on 91.3 FM. If you're not catching this during the broadcast of this recorded interview, then hopefully you're catching this on the Radio Horror YouTube channel, where you can also find the trailer for this movie, as well as Katie, the Blonde in Front of Fear's review of Velocipastor, which we did about a month ago. And coincidentally, I wasn't expecting to have this chance, but we have the lead cast members and the director of we have the lead cast members and the director of Velocipastor on the show with us. One of the most oddball, weirdest action adventure comedy creature feature religious films that you will ever get. More religious than probably Passion of the Christ. After losing his parents, a priest travels to China where he inherits a mysterious ability that turns him into a dinosaur. First horrified by his new power, a hooker convinces him to use his power to fight crime in ninjas. Jesus Christ. I can't even read that out loud. How stoned were you when you came up with the idea for this movie?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to clarify that we all tend to think of it as a documentary.
Oh,
so...
okay. Right. A documentary with blackjack and hookers.
I'd like to make it eminently clear, and I really mean this. I was sober as my guy. I was just, I was just, in film school, texting about dinosaurs as one does. And my phone auto-corrected Velociraptor to Velocipastor. And me being like 19 or 20 years old, Grindhouse had just come out.
Brilliant!
And I was sort of like, I was like, that's a movie. I could do that as a movie. And it was supposed to be like a one-off gag, and the idea just sort of stuck in my head. It's weird how you'll have ideas like that just don't quite ever go away. And so, like, I had this weird, like, existential battle in my head for a while as to whether I really wanted to devote a couple of years of my life to the Velocipastor. And you know what? It's honestly one of the best decisions I've ever made to say yes and just give in to the insanity of it all.
Boy, are we glad you did.
When you said you had an existential crisis, is that the same one that Joan of Arc had?
100% yes. I mean, I tend to think of myself as a Joan of Arc-esque figure. So, with the same basic historical importance.
When you guys got the script, Elise and Greg, what were you like? I'm gonna ruin my career doing this, or this could be the greatest thing ever that makes my career. I mean, what was your reaction when you were like, Velocipastor? Really?
Alyssa, you knew Brendan before I did, so Alyssa, why don't you start? Why don't you?
Well,
because I'd love to hear what you this.
Because I gotta think you guys were like, what the hell?
I mean, honestly, I had met Brendan through like the community of filmmakers, because I wasn't in college with him, but we were kind of just all young and in New York and hungry to make stuff. And so I'd met him through a friend of a friend, and we'd made a project before. It was Brendan's first feature, and it was so fun that we had developed a friendship. And at this point, I was kind of like, yeah, whatever you do, I trust you. Like, this will be fun. And honestly, like, the seriousness of my career is so unimportant to me. I'm sure if you look it up, you'll realize that. But, like, I don't know. If my career was just a series of the Velocipastor, I'd be thrilled.
Same.
If I hadn't just looked at your IMDb before you said that, I would have been like, oh, what did you do? And then I saw, like, I Clean Up Your Grave, Pillow Fight Babe 2.
Oh, God, don't even mention that. That is my first credit ever, and it's Pillow Fighting Babe 2. And I wish I could delete that off of my IMDb. I wish I could.
I did not know this wrinkle to your past.
Stop it!
Okay.
Is there a clip of you as Pillow Fighting Babe number 2? And
I don't know.
Is it on Mr. Is it on Mr. Is it on MrSkin.com? Hold on, let me type.
I will say that the beautiful, horrible thing about the internet is that dumb old projects that you don't want to remember never really go away.
They never go
and
away.
I feel like we all have them. Like, I definitely have so many that are like that.
By
And
the
I'm like,
way-
"Oh, you don't
Fighting
have to
Big
watch that
3.
one."
By the
You
way,
don't have to-
Katie says hi. I was messaging her right now,
Hi, Katie.
and then my phone just died, so I can't talk to her anymore.
Oh, bummer.
Lost to the sands of time.
Yeah, no. After 2 years, your battery starts to die. So when you run at 30% battery power, it's like, no, I'm dead. Bye.
Yup. Yeah.
Greg, are you also like, because sometimes when a person has to play like the human and there's a monster, like somebody else played Swamp Thing on DC Swamp Thing, but Derek Mears played the Swamp Thing in the costume. Are you like underneath the makeup and stuff?
So I'm underneath the makeup, and like playing a monster is dream come true to me. I mean, any type of like turning into a monster or changing into something or hulking into something is a total dream come true. So there were many times during shooting where I kind of had to pinch myself and be like, is this real? Because like, this is awesome. It's too much fun to me. You know, there were many movies I grew up on, but like, you know, like Michael Jackson Thriller was something that I first saw when I was a little kid, and I was like, this looks like so much fun to like wear all that makeup and just like be a monster. And I was really into that. So any opportunity we had, I said yes. Now, when it comes to the dinosaur costume, I tried to get into the dinosaur costume, but it was very hard to get into. I was a little too big for the costume and did not want to completely destroy it by hulking out of it. I tried
Into
By-
it.
by
Yeah.
shoving
Some
myself
muscles.
by shoving myself inside the dinosaur. I could not do that. So I didn't curse. So
Did you watch any body horror movies ahead of time, like An American Werewolf in London or The Fly or Scanners or something, and be like, how much is this gonna hurt if a priest turns into a dinosaur?
yeah, I had. Well, are you saying how's it going to hurt like my career or
No. No. We already went over that in the beginning. No, I meant like when people transform into these things, sometimes they're just like,
Right.
and sometimes they actually put a pretty decent performance into it to make it feel like,
Yeah. No,
like they're giving birth.
I've watched. I've seen a lot of those movies. I've seen American Werewolf in London. I've seen The Fly, which is gross. I've seen. I don't remember what the other one you said, but yeah, I loved that like painful kind of that change. So yeah, like that's fun for me to play with. And I hope we get to play with that more should there be a sequel. Because that's a lot of fun to watch. Like I just watched recently Wolf Cop, and like that is a gruesome change, and it is awesome. And every time he changes, it is gruesome, and it looks like a lot of fun to play, and like I mean I love that stuff.
Are any of you religious?
I grew up in the Catholic Church. I was actually the cantor for Sunday services as well as funerals and weddings. It was my high school job.
Wow.
But I do
sorry.
no longer consider myself part of the Catholic Church. Not that I have any issue, but that it's just not part of my spiritual life anymore.
Oh, good for you. The
Right.
Catholic. I have a lot of things against the Catholic Church. I'm not going to get into them here because we're not a political show. But you can kind of think about stuff in the media and understand why.
Of course.
Yeah.
Sure. And same for me. I grew up Catholic. So when I told my mother what my first feature film was going to be, her face was, a little awe, shock, and dismay. But she loves it now. So I'm no longer really, I wouldn't consider myself religious in the Catholic respect. But yeah, I grew up in the church as well. And I am an ordained minister. And
me too.
I've married about 12 people.
Yeah.
Are you serious, Greg?
Yeah. So
Wow.
I have a spiritual side to me, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily tied to Catholicism.
Greg, you should have the Velocipastor marry people. It would be like a great thing.
It's a pretty penny. It's going to cost you a pretty penny.
There you go. Yeah.
Only high-end weddings in Malibu.
I'm
will
a
I-
preordained.
Yeah.
I'm a preordained minister too. I married a lesbian couple, and you can Google search Worcester, Massachusetts, Batman Catwoman wedding, and you'll see a picture of me as I marry a cosplay duo in light of issue 50 of Batman, where Batman and Catwoman were supposed to get married, but as everyone found out, they didn't.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the sequel to this movie, Brendan, should be Rabbi Rex, like a rabbi that turns into a T-Rex, and he goes after evil neo-Nazis or something.
I've had a lot of good pitches for more dinosaur puns for the sequel. We'll see which one sticks the most in my brain, but there have been some really brilliant suggestions people have thrown out.
I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen a dinosaur of any kind, a dinosaur man of any kind, fight a vampire. I never see that happen. Why haven't we seen a dinosaur person, creature, whatever, dinosaur, if you want to call it that, because that's kind of what that's essentially what the Velocipastor is. He's a were-pastor. Sorry, a were dinosaur. But we've never seen him fight another supernatural creature, and ninjas are not really supernatural creatures. They're, once upon a time in feudal Japan, they fought ninja turtles and stuff like that.
Right. Well, it's funny. I'm not a big believer in tomes on screenwriting and stuff, but I remember a very long time ago, somebody gave me the piece of advice that there should only be one voodoo in a movie. Meaning, if you're going to have a magical thing that is sort of central to your plot, that there needs to be no other magical things. Because it's sort of for some reason, we'll accept that Greg can turn into a dinosaur, but if Greg turns into a dinosaur and also, Superman shows up, all of a sudden it just gets a little more confused. I don't know if I believe that's true, but when I was writing this movie, I definitely wanted to abide by that. I was sort of the supernatural thing is that, and the rest of it,
Yeah, but there is that one moment, Brendan, that one moment where someone does something supernatural that is not a dinosaur.
Oh, 100%.
It's always that one moment that just gets me, and it kills me because it just makes zero sense, and there was no forethought about that.
Well, and that's the thing is that it's, I think it's important to set those tenets for ourselves so we can break them in moments of convenience for a gag. And I will say that if we do a sequel, that rule is totally out the window. We already know that he turns into a dinosaur, so we have to escalate it with something weirder and also probably supernatural. So honestly, the idea of fighting something like vampires, I'm kind of into, because it'll just, let's see how far we can push this weirdness.
Yeah. Twilight. Just kidding. You should ask Brendan about Twilight.
You said that the moment I took a drink of coffee.
I'm trying to hurt you from across the country, apparently.
Yes, that was my thought on it.
Now, here's my question, though. He goes to China, but ninjas are associated with Japan.
Thank you. Yes. That was the joke. So the whole joke with the ninjas in the movie is that ninjas are, like you said, a Japanese cultural thing. And my thought was dumb white people won't know the difference. So it's supposed to be kind of a quasi-period piece, sort of taking place in the 70s when they just gave so much less credence to things like getting things historically accurate. So in this movie, the ninjas are based out of China and only speak Mandarin, Cantonese, English, and Korean. It was very important to me that they not speak Japanese. And I feel it's funny because the few moments of legitimate flack that we've gotten for this movie are people just assuming I'm racist. And that was always sort of the intention, is that the joke is most people won't even know. And I don't know, I am a little self-conscious that we might not have hit it hard enough, but yeah, that was very intentional.
Some people said the same thing about Scott Derrickson, who directed Doctor Strange, because he changed the ancient one to a white woman. But what he was trying to do was forego ancient Chinese stereotypes about those two characters that were created back in the 60s, which, if you read those old comic books, are really kind of offensive today. And so he tried to turn that on its ear by being like, okay, so he's not this ancient guy living in the mountains anymore. It's like this person who can actually take any form, and this time he chose a bald British woman.
Yeah.
Which I was totally fine, but God forbid. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's a complicated thing.
It is a complicated thing. I think that I would hope that in this movie it comes across as good-natured enough that you realize that I'm not, trying really to perpetuate any negative stereotypes. I'm trying to poke fun at them. So, I hope that comes across.
It's definitely got that 70s type feel vibe with it when you have characters in there that aren't really showing up in movies today that often, like hookers and hobos and Chinese villagers and people with the name Frankie Mermaid and stuff like that.
My God, Frankie Mermaid.
What an icon, right?
Rest in peace, Frankie Mermaid. Or not rest in peace. What? Oops, never mind.
You'll have to see the movie to see if he rests in peace. Velocipastor comes out on August 30th. No, I'm joking.
Oh, it's not out yet?
No, it comes out on August 13th for DVD and in September for Blu-ray.
Oh, okay. I thought it was already out because we posted our review back in like June.
Yeah, we've been hitting the festivals really hard. It's been a ton of fun. Zero regrets about that.
Have you had a huge success in in Asia because of its big Asian influences?
Not as much so far to the best to as far as I've been able to discern. I want to push more in Asia. I want to go to Japan, to be dead honest with you. But I will say that there's been a couple of errant tweets and news articles. I Google translated one from Japanese the other day because I can't read kanji. And it said in the Google Translate, this film might be the culmination of all negative human culture.
Oh, wow, they really liked us.
Honestly, I kind of want that on my tombstone.
Wow.
It's one of the most poetic ways to describe this movie I've ever heard. So as of yet, no. But I will say we've had a shocking amount of response from the Spanish-speaking part of the world, from Spain and Central and South America.
I also, Elisa, I watched your television series, The Deuce.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
I cannot say it is my television series, but I do happen to be in that television series. Yes.
Yeah, with Maggie Gyllenhaal and James Franco.
Yep. Did you catch me in it?
I probably did, but I did watch it. I didn't know who you were before watching it, so I probably saw you.
Sure.
IMDb has a picture of you in bed with somebody else. I don't know.
Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Is that Maggie Gyllenhaal? Okay, it's hard to tell
we're wearing
because
matching Viking wigs.
That's why your faces look really weird, because you're wearing these god awful wigs.
Yeah, the scene is definitely for over 18, and my mother has seen it. And maybe this is why you'll understand that I don't take my career as seriously as other people do. If you watch that. I actually can't describe the scene on radio. That's where we're at.
Yeah. Yep.
You can describe it in using puppets.
Yes, in the audio medium.
Porn. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's in depth. That's the scene.
Please compare and contrast with Velocipastor, the Deuce.
Oh gosh. The Velocipastor had much less nudity. The Velocipastor, I'd say, is actually honestly like almost like a very family-friendly movie, with the exception of some curses.
Right? It's my buddy who's also a filmmaker summed it up to me once by saying, he was like, "Hey, so don't take this the wrong way. I actually mean it as a compliment, but you made a weirdly PG exploitation film."
It's like weirdly PG in a great way. Like, I want to show it to my little cousins, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think that comes from it's fun, and that was always the intention. Like, you asked a little earlier about like the pain and the transformation scenes, and I love that kind of body horror stuff. I genuinely do. But it was important to me when we got to this one to not like I figured if I fetishized the pain of the transformation too much, it would just sort of choke up the fact that we had to get back to having fun. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, yeah, the transformation looks a little painful, but it was sort of a tonal decision to not focus on it. And so it was just sort of a series of decisions like that. Like the pain and the violence in Velocipastor doesn't hurt. And it's been very funny to me when I've read reviews of people describing it as like a violent film, because I guess it is, but like I don't think of it that way.
No,
Because
it's
all
not
the
like
violence.
Planet Terror or the other
Exactly.
Grindhouse
Yeah.
movies that have come out,
Exactly.
or what's one that went direct to video like yours, and very limited, that comes to mind that I always just point out to people as a violent Grindhouse movie. What the hell is it called? Oh, The Disco Exorcist.
I've never seen it. But yeah, I am aware of the Disco Exorcist, as they say.
And it's got its like share of it's a priest and his family member dies and he has to like pick up the cloth, and he's also an exorcist, but he's also like this porn star, and he
Wow.
As one.
Same,
as one
I
is.
guess.
Same. Yep.
So.
so that's the exploitation mesh, part into it, because he's a porn star. His brother his brother dies, so he has to take up his brother's cloth to become a priest, which he left years ago so he could become a porn star, in the
Really
70s
creative.
disco era.
Perfect.
And you guys are going to be working together again on another movie coming up.
We are?
According to
it still lists
IMDb,
They
so-
Hunger. It does.
They
It
hunger.
does.
It does
So
still list that.
that project, as of right now, has fallen through, but IMDb is a hell site, and none of us know how to change it.
Yeah.
So it just sort of exists there in limbo.
create
But
an account.
unfortunately,
You create an account, you log in, and you can edit anyone's IMDb page.
that's what
Comparison-
people tell me,
Yeah, from-
and I have been trying to do that for about 6 years to get that off IMDb.
Oh,
And, it's just as of right now, it is not happening. But obviously, Alyssa, Greg, and I will work together again.
Yeah.
Trust me,
that movie required me being a high school student, and I'm not that age anymore.
That part of filmmaking is still a total mystery box to me. That's why I hire people for sound, because I'm just sort of like I am out of my depth here.
Well,
So,
if you need sound editing help on, Raptor Rabbi, let me know.
you got it, man. you'll be on the short
No, I'm
list.
sorry. What did we call it? Raptor? No,
Rabbi
Rabbi
Rex.
Rex.
Rabbi
Rabbi
Rex.
Rex. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Well, guys, again, Velocipastor was really ridiculous, but a lot of fun to watch. Give it all the credit for it being its weird monster movie grindhouse kind of film, because most grindhouse movies are not monster movies. They're blaxploitation or rape revenge or something like that. They're very rarely like a monster movie most of the time. Hobo with a Shotgun, any of the modern grindhouse movies people have tried to make. Again, like Hobo with a Shotgun, rest in peace, Rutger Hauer. Or the Danny Trejo Machete movies, which I know they're doing the next one, Machete Kills in Space.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it was funny that there weren't as many. I noticed that too when we were sort of in pre-pro, that there weren't a whole ton of creature features being made in that style.
No, it's just it's crime. It's mostly something to do with crime of any kind.
Yeah.
Or
just in a
it's-
really lurid fashion.
Right,
Yeah.
post-crime, like The Birdhouse, which is just like women in underwear in a giant bird cage.
Right. Yeah.
My favorite thing.
Is that the next movie you want to do? Do you want to do a remake of The Birdhouse, Elise?
Alyssa. And no.
Yeah, I think we're all good on that one.
But what if they cast you in the role of like the lead guard who looks like Ilsa, She-Woman of the SS?
I don't know who that is.
It was a Rob Zombie fake trailer for the Grindhouse movies, and it was his wife done up in like or either his wife or Sybil Shepherd done up in like leather Nazi gear.
Wow. I mean, that sounds certainly interesting. I do have to say, for as much as I've gotten tied up in the horror community, I happen to know very little about it. I am grateful for all of the opportunities I've had to be in it, but I should really do a little bit more research on my colleagues.
What
Yeah.
is the next thing
Well-
each one of you are working on? Since IMDb can't be trusted.
Yeah. Since they only tell lies on the internet.
Lies!
I'm personally working on a lot of different scripts right now, trying to figure out exactly what the move is after Velocipastor, whether that is to be the sequel, or whether that is to be something else, or whether I just want to switch gears and do something completely different. And so I'm just sort of exploring my options right now. I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I have a couple of scripts that I would be willing to jump in on tomorrow, kind of thing. So we'll just see what who's interested in what, and then we'll take it from there.
Maybe when it
Heck
comes
yeah.
out, Sci-Fi Channel will see it, and they'll be like, "Hey, we have Saturday Night Creature Features. Do you want to make one?"
And I'll be like, give me the keys to your sci-fi kingdom. This will run for
Amazing.
10 years.
Because they're starting their next franchise after Sharknado, the tornado zombie film.
Of course. That old chestnut.
Oh wow, yeah. I think we need more tornadoes.
You know, the other thing I was really shocked about just researching this and like sort of seeing what I guess our competition, for lack of a better word, is that there are so many tornado movies now, and it's bizarre that it has become almost a subgenre of its own, is tornado plus something.
Right.
So all I can tell you for VP2 is that there is not a tornado in it. I will let those guys happily tread on that property, and I'll let them have their fun with the tornadoes.
Hello.
Hi, I'm still here. Yeah, just
Oh,
go
nice.
on with what you two are doing next.
Yeah.
I just actually, I don't know if you know the movie High Fidelity, but Zoe Kravitz decided to make that into a series for Hulu, and you can catch me in one of the first few episodes of that, which should be
Cool.
coming out in a couple of months, I think. I don't know. We just finished shooting. So.
I just canceled my Hulu, so now.
Oh
Gotta get
man!
back. Gotta get it back.
You
It's
gotta
like,
get
why
it
do I
back.
have Hulu if I'm going to get Disney Plus? And Disney Plus and Hulu are basically the same thing because Disney
They
owns
are the same.
Hulu.
It's actually was gonna be on Disney Plus, and then they were like, "Just kidding, that makes 0 sense." And so it's not on Disney.
It's like,
Plus.
why is
How
Warner
are you gonna
Brothers-
watch The Bachelorette?
Yeah,
Huh?
it's like, why is Warner Brothers launching a streaming app when they have the DC Plus, the DC app? If you own DC, just put the two of them together.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Politics.
Yeah, and I have other than like trying to be boots on the ground promoting the DVD coming out on August 13th and doing some screening attendances with Brendan and some other guys. We're just getting this movie out, and I've got another feature film that's in festivals right now called A Little Water, written by Charles Warburton. It's and Molly Montgomery. It's a complete polar opposite to the Velocipastor. That's going through festivals right now, and we're seeking distribution for that. On the LA,
That's amazing, Greg.
out here auditioning for TV and film out in Los Angeles.
Hell yeah.
Just trying to hit that Hollywood machine as hard as you can.
Just hitting that Hollywood machine, writing projects on our own, and just getting out there and doing it.
And you're also a makeup artist too.
Oh, a long time ago, I did makeup. I fell into it, actually. I took a class in college, and then one of my classmates got asked to produce one of our professor's films, because basically he wanted to make another film. He was a Sundance Award-winning director, but didn't have the finances to do it, so he hired all the students, and then I got put onto this film. It was called The Happy Sad. It had a run at IFC. It was a pretty good project. But then once I did it once for this project, being asked by one of my classmates, I just started getting jobs doing it. But I don't really do it anymore. It's really fun, but it kind of takes up a lot of time and a lot of money in order to do it.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was a great experience. I love being in film.
And Brendan, you do more than just direct too, obviously. Are you? Do you want to just stay as a director and writer, or do you want to pursue some of the other avenues that you've done?
It depends on the project, to be honest with you. I just enjoy the aspect of creation. Like, I also have a band, which has nothing to do with film. I just like doing it. So it's like with Velocipastor, I wanted to also edit because I thought the tone was tricky enough that probably only I had the keys to that kingdom editorially. So it's like but I really like working with editors. We did it on our first feature, Animosity. A guy named Steve Burgess did a great job editing it, and I'd love to work with him again. So I don't know. It really depends on what exactly the project is. So if I think it would be interesting to, edit it or shoot it or produce it or just even touch up the screenplay for somebody else, yeah, absolutely I'd do it. Though I will say at the end of the day, if I had to choose one to stick with, yes, I'd choose directing. It's just the most fun. So yeah, it really just depends on whatever the unique challenges of the project and the thing are.
Well, I appreciate all three of you taking some time out to come together and come on the show. Usually I have to bang this out one individually, which can be incredibly difficult, and I usually only have to, I'm like, okay, I can't do all three. I have to pick one. So,
Right.
But I was just like, after I thought about it, I was like, oh, wait a minute. So, okay, so this is the pastor, and this is the lead, this is the director. Oh, I need to do this all at the same time. So I asked them to do it all at the same time, and sure enough, they were able to manage to get that together, which was fantastic. So I appreciate all three of you coming on the show, Radio of Hard, to talk about Velocipastor. Like I said, my co-anchor, Kate, and I gave it a review up on our YouTube channel, so please check it out. We both enjoyed the movie for its hilarious ridiculousness of it all. That movie poster itself, too. Who designed that?
So that was designed, I believe, by Rob at Wild Eye.
Yeah.
I know it was a Wild Eye design. I don't remember exactly how involved he was, but there's something in the wisps of my memory that tells me he did it. So that's all our distribution company. They did a great job.
And Greg, how many people can you meet in life can compare to what you've done and say that I played a dinosaur and I fought ninjas? What did you do this week? Oh, you stood in front of a green screen
hard,
as people
man.
like waved ping pong balls in front of you, supposedly saying that this is the person we're gonna animate in front of you, and you're like, eh.
It's tough to do. I don't know if I will ever meet anyone, and that helps me sleep at night. That brings me great joy.
Well, now if you ever encounter a bunch of ninjas, you know what to do.
I know what to do. I just, give them the dinosaur claw.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know who I am? I'm a man of the cloth, and I'm going to eat you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, thank you guys for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
having
Thank you.
us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.